The NBA suspension could end up changing rosters around the league. ESPN is suggesting they reintroduce the amnesty provision and let every team cut one player. Blake Griffin injured? Cut him. John Wall makes too much money? Let him go. New Rockets owner doesn't want to pay Russ almost $50 million in 2023? Bye-bye. If this happens, then a weak 2020 free agent class could be stacked with superstars. In this video, we're breaking down why the NBA could be thinking about this, debating who could get cut, and their best fit on a new team. Hey, it's Casey, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching, first of all. Second of all, hit subscribe and hit notification bells because it really helps out the channel while we're making 5 videos per week, waiting for the NBA to come back, whether they finish out the regular season or just jump to the playoffs. We will be here. And while we're waiting for the season to come back, the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has been talking. He put the league on notice with one line recently. The CBA wasn't built for a pandemic. That meant money's tight, folks, so get ready to make some compromises. The players and owners split basketball-related income 50-50 to get paid. Basketball-related income could drop from $8 billion to $6 billion next year. That means 2020 free agents could get screwed, max contracts will be less, and the salary cap will go down. So, to help teams in cap trouble, they could have a one-time amnesty. They did this back in 2011, and it lets teams cut one player, still pay him his money, but he doesn't count against your salary cap. Back then, the Bulls amnestied Carlos Boozer, he became a Laker. The Lakers cut Metta World Peace, he became a Knick. The Knicks let go of Chauncey Billups instead of Amari Stoudemire, and he became a Clipper. If they go this route again, big names will move. The cool thing about this for a player's new team is a talented guy might take less money because he's still getting paid by his old team. So our first amnesty consideration, Andrew Wiggins. Why he would get cut. That $146 million extension was dumb the day he signed it. Now he's the Warriors' problem, and they may be strapped for cash. They just put all that money into the Chase Center, and nobody's probably gonna go to games for like another year. Plus, they will pay the biggest luxury tax bill in the NBA. If they cut Wiggins, the team owners can sleep a little easier. The case against cutting him. The Warriors won't be able to replace Wiggins with equal talent. Yeah, he costs a lot, but he is healthy and his position is a fit with the Warriors. If this amnesty is like the 2011 version, you can't wait and see how Wiggins fits with his teammates. You just have to make the decision before the season. So the verdict, I think the Warriors keep Andrew Wiggins. It just makes sense. You can't wait to see how he fits with these guys, and you got to assume now that he's not even expected to be the number 1 or 2 option, maybe he does live up to his potential as a number 3 option on the Warriors. They're getting Steph and Klay back healthy. I think they would want to see what Steph, Klay, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins looks like. Next up, Blake Griffin. The case to cut him. The trade for Blake Griffin was one of the worst in recent memory. The Pistons gave up pieces including Tobias Harris, who became a max contract guy, a first-round pick that became Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Blake did have one all-star year, but the injury bug came back. He's coming off another season-ending surgery. They are clearly rebuilding now. Just cut Blake and get on with it. The case to keep him. Griffin was an all-star 2 years ago. He's got only 2 more years left on his deal. The Pistons could trade him and get something rather than just let him go. Plus, Detroit is not one of these cap-strapped teams. They actually have cap space and can afford to keep Blake Griffin. But the verdict? Let him go. Everything I just said about keeping him is kind of just crap. They have cap space now, but the stars are available 2 years from now. Like Giannis, Kawhi, Paul George. The Pistons would have a lot more cap space to get 1 or 2 of those guys. Even though they probably wouldn't land him, they'd have a shot. What could they get back for Blake in a trade? Not much. With his injury and his salary, they wouldn't even get a first-round pick. And so, if they cut him, the best fit for Blake Griffin, the Dallas Mavericks. Now, Griffin would have to accept less money, but he perfectly fits alongside Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis, especially if the Mavs commit to playing KP at center. BLAK is good in the post. You know he's got that range. He's been working on it, and he showed his three-point shot, especially in his All-Star year. He's good at both screening and ball handling to play both sides of the pick and roll well. Next up, John Wall. The case to cut him. He's been out for 2 years with an injury and will be paid almost $50 million 3 years from now. Guys don't get better after an Achilles tear. He's dealt with knee issues for years, and Wall relies on athleticism. If they amnesty him, it will probably also signal the trade of Bradley Beal too, because this would be a full reboot. But the case to keep him. Like we said with Andrew Wiggins, you wouldn't have a chance to see what John Wall looks like healthy. Now, they've been saying that he does look good in rehab. They could be just saying that. But the fact is, if he comes back and he looks like John Wall again, they will look stupid. There's a reason they paid him the Supermax, because he is an elite point guard in this league. Yes, Wall has been injured for 2 years, but they extended Bradley Beal, so they are committed to giving that big 2 one more try. The verdict? Let him go. This one-time amnesty would be a godsend to the Washington Wizards. To get out of that deal, the John Wall deal is the worst in the NBA. If they can let him go, it would hurt their pride, but it would be much better for the team to start rebuilding now than be like mediocre for 3 to 4 more years, then rebuild. So the best fit is the LA Lakers. The Lake Show has 2 contracts to go over the cap for free agents this offseason. The veterans minimum and the mid-level exception. If John Wall accepted the mid-level from LA, it would make a legit super team. The fit is interesting because LeBron James plays point guard this season, but the move would push LeBron off the ball where he's played his whole career, and Wall could lead that second unit when LeBron is off the floor. This signing is a great fit because it solves 2 needs for the Lakers. Next up, Chris Paul. The case to amnesty is that big contract. CP3 played well this year, but that doesn't change the fact that he's 35 years old, past his prime, getting $44 million at age 37. The Thunder have a young, talented team, and they can build around them with young, in their prime free agents if they just release Chris Paul. The case to keep him. Chris Paul has value. You could trade Chris Paul and get something back rather than just let him go and get nothing. Part of the reason they traded Russell Westbrook was CP3 had 1 fewer year on his max deal. Chris Paul is more tradable than people think. If not, he played all-star, all-NBA level good this year, so keeping him is a plus, not a negative. And the verdict? Keep him. Chris Paul was a no-brainer to cut before the season. He totally flipped that though with the way he played ball this year. OKC is not in a salary crunch either, with Danilo Gallinari and Andre Robertson coming off their books. Next up, Russell Westbrook. The case to cut him. Westbrook may live up to his contract today, but in 3 years he's making almost $50 million at 34 years old. Russ has made a finals run 1 time, and Kevin Durant was the lead dog. Since then, he has been a playoff disappointment. If the Rockets want flexibility to pair championship-level talent with James Harden, they have got to let Russ go. He was efficient the final 2 months of the season, but before that, he was laying bricks. The case to keep him. All of what I said might be true, but what's also true for the Rockets is, who would you get to replace him? It would almost be impossible to find equal or better talent than Russell Westbrook at this point for the Rockets, unless someone like Kawhi Leonard wanted to go to Houston and play with James Harden. That's not going to happen. Also, the Rockets went all in on micro ball when they traded Clint Capella, brought in Robert Covington. They did that to free up the lane for Russ. The verdict? They would keep him. This isn't because I believe in Russell Westbrook in the playoffs. This is because he is the best they can do. And this means I don't expect the Rockets to come out of the West for a long, long time. Al Horford, the case to cut him. You get what the Sixers were thinking when they signed Al. He frustrated Joel Embiid as a Celtic. Take him from your rival. Embiid is hurt a lot. You get a great option at the 5 when Joel is off the floor. But in reality, it just didn't work. He doesn't add a lot to this team, except for almost $100 million on their books. The Sixers owners are going to pay a huge tax bill, so getting rid of Al makes sense. The case to keep him. Embiid and Horford don't work on the floor together, but Embiid is hurt a lot. It's hard to find a better plan B than Al Horford. Plus, some people think if the Sixers experiment doesn't work again next year, they could trade Embiid or Ben Simmons. If they ship out the big man, it would be nice to have Al Horford start at center. The verdict: cut him. This deal looks so stupid at this point. It actually did begin with. I mean, who pays a 33-year-old $100 million over 4 years? Who are they bidding against? No one was gonna give him that. The fit is awful and they need shooters. The Sixers should cut Al and replace that space with guys who have an outside shot. The best fit for Al? The Celtics. Celtics fans would forgive Big Al and take him back for going to Philly. I mean, it was $100 million. They understand. The Celtics have a needed center. He would obviously fill that. He enjoyed his time in Boston, and there's a lot less locker room drama with Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn. The only other big name that I've heard thrown out there is Kevin Love, and I think the Cavs would keep him because, like Chris Paul, I think he can still play and he would have trade value. Really, I don't think if the amnesty clause came back, it would be big name guys. I think in reality, it would be smaller guys, smaller name guys like Nicholas Batum or Trevor Ariza who would get let go. The amnesty provision may not come back, but still, it is a fun what if to think about. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.